Well, good morning, everyone. How are you guys this morning? Hold on a second here. I'm going to get you my screen. And as you can hear, I'm still fighting off a little bit of a cold here, so bear with me. Okay, so the markets just opened up, and we'll take a look here on the Eagle. You can see that the overnight still very active. So the overnight opened right about here. Big run up, a little bit of a run down. Now we're kind of right in the mix, right in the middle of the whole mess. So we're going to give them a few minutes here to shake things out. We're getting some mixed signals again. Things looking a little bullish, perhaps a little bearish. Personally, I think we might be in for more of a bearish type day today. All right, we got a little bit of sideways action going on here in the hawk. You can see all these yellow bars. A little bit of a hop to the upside. Actually, a first micro macro cross signal. I'm doing my best not to get too excited here out of the open. Let's take a look here at the Raptor. And you can see that we can kind of shoot a trend line across the bottom here. It seems like the market seems to be honoring that. We overshot it a little bit at the top, but nothing too serious. And I apologize in advance if I can't make my mute button fast enough and I end up coughing in your ear. Or sneezing in your ear. Okay, so here we are. We're back to the hard edge now on the Eagle. Looks like we're working on a trend change both in the Hawk and the Falcon. In fact, let me see before they run away on me here. if we can take a hawk trade. This is a little bit on the risky side because we haven't seen a real test of the extreme yet. Oh, I may have caught a break. I wasn't able to enter right on the hash mark. No, they took me out at break even. That's too bad. If I had a chance to get it at the hash mark, I would have been okay. And of course, I would have risked it a little bit deeper at the hash mark, and you can see why. Now we're into this macro pullback situation. It may actually end up building into a 4-arrow consolidation. And once again, this is a little bit risky. It's still very early in the day. And now we're into yellow bars and a green bar sell. Now, as you know, you can reverse on a green bar sell, and you can actually buy the failure of it. Market's still hopping a little bit. So there was a green bar sell. Didn't really give me a chance to set anything up. Now we're getting a red bar buy, which we could sell the failure of. So we pretty much have the market pinched right now. It's pinched between this resistance and this support. We're just looking at it at the short side, but a move through the top end here could see the market rally. In fact, you can see we're generating a first micro-macro cross signal. So maybe the thing to do would be to set up an OCO order. But I'm a little bit late on that. Still quite a bit of activity here this morning. So macro pullback off of this first micro-macro cross. We should see some follow through here. Oh, come on, you guys. You got to slow down a little bit. I'm not feeling well. Give me a chance. My voice usually loosens up. Excuse me. All right, nice little hop off of the primary. Is that the resistance or the support? Look at the size of these ranges. Okay, so nice little hop off the primary resistance. Wow. The next zone is not till 43.10. That's huge. All right, I'm also watching soybeans and crude oil, and crude oil is painfully slow, just content to go sideways. Here's crude oil now on the Eagle. We're getting a rule of 3 signal. So we've got our test of the extreme. Very important for your rule of 3 that you get this test of the extreme. That means a lot. Coming back with a red bar buy. So what you could do, this is another market that's finding itself in a little bit of a mix. So the red bar buy, this current bar is the signal bar. So you could look to buy above there, cover below here. Nuts. No, it's out of reach. Could I have taken it on the hash mark? Yes, just on the hash mark. Or you could set up for the failure. The failure of the rally. That's just out of reach too, so I'm going to have to go with the just above there. That's quite the trade. Not a lot of range on crude. But if it fails here, believe it or not, it looks like crude could head lower still. So I'm just going to park that order. I'm going to leave it. Looks like the bulls are getting busy early here. Another big rally out of the gate. Well, that's all right. Okay, so they're getting a little bit weaker here. Notice on our hawk, we've gotten a couple of macro pullback signals. Normally, we don't see more than 2 or 3 within a trend. Oops. And we've got an early trend change signal here on the Falcon. Now it's early, just as the trend line is changing over, but we can set up like this. The nice thing about the early trend change signal is it gives you a great place to cover, namely above the swing high. And it's early because we've got our test in the extreme and our signal generated at the same time as the trend line changed color. Now we're getting an early trend change to the upside, so this market a little conflicted at the moment. All right, so here comes a proper trend change signal to the upside. Another situation where, we could do an OCO. Where's my OCO? There it is. We could buy above here. We could sell below here. This is the thing with the OCO orders. You have to be careful. They are live the moment you place them on your chart. All right, well, I guess we better look at some sort of stop strategy here. Ideally, I'd like to hold it below these lows. That's a little bit too rich. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it right here and see if we can't ride out this little bit of a swing. You see, what happens when the market gets into a situation like this is you get a very strong tug of war between the buyers and the sellers, right? We know the sellers are up here. We know the buyers are down here. So we're looking for one side to take control over the other. And right now, it looks as though the sellers are going to be the ones who are the stronger of the two. At least for the short term. And here's our first micro-macro cross to the downside. The thing with this one is we would like to, again, cover it above the high because we haven't had a real big test of the extreme here yet. So we'll try to give them a little bit of room. Okay, so now we're obviously encountering some support near the hard edge and whatnot. Okay, probably a good time to at least bring that trade to break even. And maybe time to get a little bit more aggressive with our stops also. This is the problem with trying to manage a single contract. You know, if we had a couple contracts in play, it would be easy to take profit. All right, so we're going to enable our stops. Okay, stops, get down there. There we go. Okay, so now they're going a little bit better. I'm going to go with the bar high low. Oops. There, let's try that. Okay. Well, that was all right. That was a good little trade. So it cost us a couple of dollars to figure out the market wasn't going up, but I do believe we recovered our losses and then some. Oh, good morning, Jim. Jim says the DAX is selling off a bit. I think yesterday's rally in the stock market, although very impressive, was kind of a last-ditch effort, if you will, to try to support the market. It's not to say we're going to see a major reversal today, but I do think there might be a little bit more selling in our future. Yeah, like Jim says, dead cat bounce. And if you've never heard that odd expression, Jim says he sold everything this morning and his portfolio is flat. I think that's a wise decision. A dead cat bounce is a temporary recovery in the stock market after a substantial decline. It's usually caused by traders trying to cover their positions. So you get this little flurry of buying activity. Let me build you a NASDAQ chart here and you can see. All right, so we're getting a trend change signal now in the Eagle, and this bar right here is our signal bar, but I'm a little bit late, so maybe I'll try to take it below the lows instead. Okay, this here is a dead cat bounce. Did I submit the order? Yes, I did. Sorry, I just want to make sure I got everything in order here. Okay. So this is a dead cat bounce, or what a lot of traders would refer to as a dead cat bounce. So the market comes down steeply, a little bit of a recovery, and now it's not uncommon to see it turn over and perhaps head lower. So you can see there's some extreme bearishness in the market. Just look at this candle here. I suspect we're going to see some more bearishness come into the market shortly. 4,300 seems to be a pretty sensitive number. We're also getting a similar signal here on the Raptor, where we could sell below the lows. The signal is actually generating right here. It's the same kind of situation where we do have a test of the extreme. Okay, so I've got my stops enabled. We've got another signal printing. The tricky part here is just to ride out the initial reaction. Once we get over that, excuse me, I'm fairly confident we're going to see the market tail off a little bit. Come on, get down there. Come on. Come on. Come on, you know you want to. Come and get me. Come on. Excuse me. As you can see, we had comparable signals here on the Falcon and the Hawk as well. Oh, we just need to get a little bit lower. Where was this morning's low? I know we're pretty darn close to it, this 42.72 area. Right down here. Right back down to the primary resistance line. There it is. That's what's given us a little bit grief, 42.70. All right, so they just tripped 42.70, and now we're starting to see it unwind a little bit. There we go. This is a nice thing about the Raptor is I do have a runner in play on the Raptor. And we hit our profit target also on the Eagle. And with the Raptor, oh, I'm a little bit late getting that stop in a little tighter. I would have protected more of that open profit. Such a nice straight decline usually means a little bit more of a bounce higher, but we'll see. Maybe we can get them to give us one more move, and then we're going to get a little bit more aggressive with our stop. Yeah, there we go. Let's do that. So we got this little itty bitty swing. If the market breaks here, it may not get all the way back to the break even, but really, why chance it? The ATR would not have managed to ride out that move either, so it was a good call. Let's see, if I had left the stop at break even, we would have been somewhere around here, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there. We're getting a little mini swing in here. Maybe. Or not. Another very conflicted bar. Okay, it looks as though the break-even stop may have held us in long enough, but trading in hindsight is so much easier than doing it real time. Okay, that's all right. They're choosing to move a little bit sideways, but we might get another chance to move it lower here. A little bit of a hop to the upside. Try not to get too excited here. The market has paid off to the downside, so that might be the direction that we should stick with. All right, so here's our initial morning range. You can see fairly substantial again, which seems to be par for the course of late. Yesterday we spent a substantial amount of time hovering around the bottom end of this range before breaking slightly and then rebounding, I think, well past the top end of this range. All right, well, we're going to put that on the shelf for the moment. We did get some, looks like some other signals here, a trend change signal here in the Falcon, a first micro macro cross on the Hawk. I wish I had seen that one. The first micro macro cross is the type of trade that I think I'd be all over doing today, especially to the short side. All right, now we're getting a little bit of a reaction back into yellow bars here on the Hawk. Nothing to get too terribly excited about yet. So if we shoot a trend line across our peaks, I always like to see whether, excuse me, whether the trend line channels. Because a channel will very often give you an indication if the market is doing something odd. So if we channel our trend line this way, you can see we've had an overshoot and now an undershoot. Overshot the trend line to the upside, came up shallow here on the downside. That's actually kind of bullish. We'll see whether we get a test of the extreme here, right here. One that holds and perhaps sends the market higher. It's a little bit too early to get excited about just flat out buying the market. Oh, look at that. Did you see this trend line that I drew across the bottom? Just those two peaks right there, or dips right there, and look at where it hits it right on the mark. So you know there were some sellers sitting there, buyers sitting there, just waiting for that opportunity to get their limit orders filled. I have a feeling that this one got violated long ago, but yes, it did. Okay, you have to excuse me for just a moment. I will be right back. I am back. My nose is running like a tap. I had to go get a Kleenex. All right, what we saw going on yesterday where the market just kept churning and churning, moving higher and lower and higher and lower, never really making any progress until the end of the day, that is. I think that's what we're seeing again here this morning. Had a trend change signal develop right here on the Raptor, but quite honestly, that would have been tough to take. You could enter, you'd have to try to cover your trade fairly deep, maybe below the first hour lows, and the trade would have worked out, but at the time, there was not much support. Okay, we'll see what gives here in a moment. Like I said, very often if I have a position pay off one way over the other, I'll try to stay with that bias on the day. And currently, at least as far as the stock market is concerned, we've got a little bit more of a bearish bias today. First micro macro cross signal here in soybeans, which is kind of fun. So there's a fairly reasonable looking opportunity in the soybean market. Soybeans a little bit slower than usual. All right, here we go with our macro pullback / 4 arrow consolidation. And now we're into yellow bars. Now I will normally take a 4 arrow consolidation off of a yellow bar. It's the only signal I will trade off of a yellow bar. Oh, now we're into red bars. Might be a red bar buy. Oh, there's our 4 arrow consolidation. Let's see whether or not we hit our profit objective on that one. We hit our break-even trigger. That's good. And there we go. We hit our profit target. More yellow bars, more sideways trading. I'm sorry, I would just be a little bit more comfortable with a sell order. I know there's lots of room here to move. Oh, here comes both the Raptor and the Falcon. I'm going to find myself a little bit slow. I was considering buying a break here higher. And so far, there's not very much follow through. Oh, there they go. So we're getting a trend change signal here in the eagle, and also a red bar buy. So it looks as though we're working on a possible test of the extreme. Wow, what a mess. All right, and now a trend change signal working to the upside here in the Falcon. So a regular mixed bag of signals going on here. We have breached this support area. Now, normally when we breach a swing low or a swing high, whatever the case may be, we can usually anticipate two moves in the direction of the breakup. The big question here is we don't know how big the second move is. It could be like this, or it could be like this. So here's the start now of the second move lower. Our Hawk 2 giving us a first micro macro cross buy signal. So things looking a little bit more bullish. I said I would take the first micro macro cross, didn't I? All right, well, let's see if I can take it above there. No, no first micro macro cross follow through. And now we've got our rule of three here in the eagle. It's actually only a rule of two. We have two signals counter trend. However, we have had a test of the extreme. Oh, don't you dare. Come on, sellers, where'd you go? So we might get a proper rule of three here in a moment if this bar continues lower. Should produce another sell signal, then we will have our third signal against the bullish band. And that's what constitutes a rule of three signal. It's our counter trend signal. In this case, I'm hoping it's more of a continuation signal. Come on. Okay, you didn't see me do this. I'm rolling my stop just to get above this trend line. No. Okay. Well, looks like the sellers may not have the grip on the market I thought they did, or was hoping they did. So a little more churn in the marketplace. Yeah, see, not a lot of follow through yet. Wow, Jim says the ticks shot up to 1100. That's very bullish and yet very bearish because a lot of traders start fading the market at that point. All right, so we're getting a few tests of the extreme here. Essentially, it's just the market coming down, coming back, failing, heading lower. We're also getting a late filter entry signal. a little bit of conflict among the signals again. And now we're getting an early trend change signal lower. Michelle did an Elliott wave count. She says we're on the fourth wave, which tends to mean sideways trading. Well, that would certainly account for a lot. Okay, now we're getting first micro-macro cross here in the hawk. And a trend change signal here in the falcon. Not quite there yet. And working on a possible trend change signal here in the Raptor also. So we'll see here whether this builds into a signal here in a moment. Okay. We don't have the bands turning over just yet. All right, there we go. There's the bar I was looking for. This is sort of our second push bar. Right? We can see the extent of the sellers at this point. We know where the buyers are. So if they force the market below this bar, we should see a little bit of follow through. The tricky part, of course, is stop placement. Because of these insane ranges that we've seen today, I really want my stop back as far as possible. All right, here they come. We'll see whether there's any follow through on this signal or not. The signal bar is now going, this bar currently, you can see we've got the red warning dots. We haven't printed the triangle hash mark just yet. It should print on the low of this bar. Wow, what a struggle. Every time we get near the top end of the trading range, the market falls, and when it gets to the bottom end of the trading range, it tries to rally. All right, took a little slip on the entry there. Nothing substantial, only a tick. I've spoken to a few traders who get some really nasty slippage on the NQ. And if that's happening to you, you need to talk to your broker. Your broker's got to get you better fills. Okay, keep going. Come on. Come on, NQ. There's a little reach by the buyers. A little look back. There we go. Come on now. Don't stop now. Let's go. There we go. Okay, I think I'm just going to move straight into the parabolics. They tend to have decent follow through. I guess I'd better do something with our hawk trade found our profit target. Did it? It must have. Our first micro macro cross. And we're just about to get tapped on this little reversal here. And there we go. Okay, and not a bad little trade, all things considered. All the churning that's going on. Oh, way to go, Jim. Jim managed to bag the YM short at 64, out at 21, picked up 43 points. 43 ticks. Well done. Nothing wrong with that. All this price congestion that we're seeing this morning, it can be frustrating when the market just starts moving sideways, like it's done for most of this morning. The good news is when it finally gets outside of this range, it will probably set a trend, at least for the remainder of the day. If you look back at the trading for, well, as long as you want, really, but certainly this last week, that's been kind of the way the market has been behaving. Is very often, yesterday it was textbook. It was confined to a trading range, and then as the day progressed, around early afternoon, the market set a trend and continued to rally for the remainder of the session. So it was fairly easy pickings once the market settled on a direction. Not so easy before that. We're not seeing a lot of commitment one way or the other, that is for sure. All right, well, just kind of watching and waiting here. Well, not much to talk about, really. They're just still going sideways here. Sometimes when you get these sideways ranges, it's tempting just to set a buy order and sell order above the range and let the market bring you in whichever way it wants. Sometimes there's not much else you can do with it, really. Yeah, like Jim says, he'll watch a 3-minute chart and look for those tails, those long tail bars, doji style bars or hammers or hangmen, whatever you want to call them, and buy and sell the those areas. Way to go, Mark. Mark's having a good day. Mark says, good morning, Eric. Between early trading this morning on the E-mini and then several moves in the NQ, I managed to far exceed my goal for the day, up $1,400. Well done, Mark. Way to go. That's fantastic. He says, but I pushed my luck in overtrading and I'm done with that profit. The markets have settled down at least from Monday. Yes, they have. They're actually acting reasonable. Any day with $1,400 profit in the current conditions is a good one or a great one. Yes, absolutely. And Mark says, now I'm in sim mode. I think that's a good call. The worst thing you can do, and it doesn't matter whether you're up $1,400 or whether you're up $140, the worst thing you can do is be in the black and then finish the day in the red. And it's almost always a result of overtrading. When people come to me for coaching and mentoring, almost without exception, the number one cause of their problem is overtrading. They're just taking far too many signals, looking for too many opportunities. And quite honestly, there aren't always that many opportunities to be had. Sometimes there are. Sometimes it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You can't do anything wrong. The market's cooperating. you just go in with both hands and you take trades as fast as you can. But that's the exception. That'll happen, once every couple months or so. The rest of the time you have to be smart. You have to look for opportunities. You have to be a little bit more selective, perhaps. Focus on the better setups. Goodness knows we haven't had a lot of setups this last 20 minutes or so. All right, generating a first micro macro cross higher. It looks like that might have a little follow through to it. Wow, the buyers continuing to be a force in this market. There they go. Okay, so we're at the top end of the trading range that was established this morning. Now we'll see whether or not they can get through there or whether it's just going to knock them down again. This whole area at 43, now 43.02, is substantial. All right, so here's the macro pullback. Oh, it's going to run on me. The macro pullback signal is essentially a retest of this 43 area that we saw. So we saw the breakout, a slight little breakout. Here comes the retest. Now we're looking for the buyers to take the market back. And actually, they might still give me a chance on this one. I can take it just above here, perhaps cover it down there. Getting another macro pullback, signal building. Oh, now we're into yellow bars again. Oh, excuse me. So yellow bars, all bets are off, and it looks like that breakout is not to be sustained, at least not right now. Jim says the ticks hit 1146. That's huge. That explains that rally. It's like all the buyers, or pardon me, all the sellers evaporated, and everybody just bought. Okay, working on a trend change signal now. I know Jim says the big question is who wants to be long up here, but you know, the markets, they have a way of doing what you least expect. You know, I had a trading friend who always used to say the big money is on the surprise side. Just when you think it can't possibly go higher, it goes higher. Just when you think it can't possibly go lower, it goes lower. But I agree. I think selling is a safer bet at the moment. So we have our trend change signal right here. We do have the ability to cover it above the high because we haven't seen the test of the extreme yet. Right? We haven't seen this test and then the subsequent failure to confirm that, in fact, the sellers have control, which is why I'm choosing to enter below the lows. If this bar finishes lower, we're also going to print a hash mark and a triangle in the same neighborhood. So I'm getting a little bit aggressive on my entry there, possible entry. I guess the Raptor is showing a mini test of the extreme here. We're into the hard edge. Where we normally see some support for prices.